This is Yorkshire Television in colour.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, chaps and chapettes, guys and dolls, mods and rockers, punks and skins, artists and artisans. Welcome to the Away with Words spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza episode 2. Welcome back, episode 2, the second one we're doing as we surge through isolation. Welcome, coming to you live from Away with Words Towers. It's not actually a tower, it's just upstairs in the house, that's all I am. It's not a tower, but let's pretend it's Away with Words Towers. We're coming to you live on a Thursday evening. Time is just, not sure, just after 8 o'clock. It's still light outside. It's about, I don't know why I'm looking up there, there's no clock. It's about 8:10, something like that. You've just done your applause. Great, well done for that. And we've got an absolutely fantastic show for you tonight. Unbelievably brilliant, phenomenal show for you this evening. We've got some of the best poets from the area, some great Hull poets to perform for you this evening. We've got a couple of special guests, two of my favourite poets on the spoken word scene at the moment. We have got the brilliant McAteer from Chesterfield. He's going to do a set for us. He's absolutely superb. If you haven't seen him, you're in for a real treat. And we've got Mr. Barrington. He's going to do another set for us. I've called on him under the threat of revealing all the stuff I know about him, which would quite honestly not just ruin his career, would probably ruin his life as well if I told people all the stuff I know. So I've managed to persuade him to do another set. He's an absolutely brilliant performer. He's going to do a couple of poems for us later on, so we've got that to look forward to. We've got a vast array of local talent as we're getting near the end. I think it's looking promising. A few more weeks, let's all cling on to that hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel, I'm sure there is, and we'll get there. But in the meantime, we can do stuff like this. We can join together and have a good time. So that's what we're hopefully going to do tonight. We're all safe. I should point out we are all safe because all of the clips this evening have been placed strategically 2 metres apart, so we've got no problems. It's going to be fine. We're all safe. We can have a good time this evening. I'm going to start the show. With a little bit of council estate inverted snobbery, because let's be honest, there's never a time when that's not appropriate, really, is there? There's never, and especially now, because I read recently there was a report came out last summer which was produced by a group called Elitism UK, and what that report said was that if you're privately or public school educated, you're 10 times more likely to be a twat. It's true, it's a fact. You're also 10 times more likely to get good jobs and good roles in the arts. Seems a bit strange to me. So I'm going to start with a poem that's loosely connected to that. But I'm going to start with a little bit of help. So, run VT.
Rich kids getting a lift in the rolls to the end of the road. Right, and then walking out pretending to be poor all day. Rich kids.
I distinctly said no twats. So just fuck off with your beanie hat. You're like a refugee from the scenes to scene with your carefully pre-ripped skinny jeans and your blue Doc Martens that you got in Camden, and how all your life is oh so random, and you're doing drama at uni and it's so amazing, and you and the gang are always out hell raising, and you quote from Kafka because you think you're clever, and every day is just the best day ever, and you're wheat intolerant and gluten free, and you went to Glasgow in the VIP and you've cut your hair like Morrissey. It's my party and I'll sigh if I want to. Who invited Mungo? Take off that Oxfam suit, because your cut glass vowels betray your roots, and your genre t-shirt just cries out geek, and I'm bored by your tedious heroin chic, and how you drink your cocktails in jam jars and get inspired by TED seminars, and you ride round Newland on your fixed gear bike. Hey, knitting clubs, what's not to like? And you only eat organic food. You're a cliche wrapped in a platitude, where a gap year in Asia is a rite of passage with your meets and greets and backstage passes, and how you so admire the lower classes. It's my party and I'll die if I want to. Who invited Mungo? And you think the ghetto's cool and stylish, and you used to hang with Billy Childish, and you shared a squat with the Libertines and lived on smack and cold-baked beans, and you Instagram your yacht club chums because it's all the rage down in the slums. Little rich kids without a heart who are turning suffering into art, with your selfies capturing degradation and your destitution misappropriation, from your help the homeless barbecues to your charity shop designer shoes. You're just an empty shell in shit tattoos. It's my party and I'll get pissed and obnoxious if I want to. Who invited Mungo? Thank you very much. Tonight though, it's not about me. It's about you, and it's about all the poets who've given up their time to contribute to the show this evening. We have got an absolutely fantastic night in store for you. Wonderful 2 hours, some of the best local poets around. We've got the brilliant McAteer from Chesterfield. We've got JB Barrington who's going to do a set later on. So yeah, this is A Way with Words. Spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza. If you're watching, share it, share the link on your Facebook pages or on Twitter or whatever you do. Start watch parties, get as many people watching as possible. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic evening. You're going to love every second of it. So let's start with our first performer of the evening, and that is Andrew Gooch.
An ode from home. From home, you still make a difference to our lives. From a living room, you still check in to figure out what is needed. From a small screen, you still show your faces to remind us you haven't gone anywhere. From a desktop, you still teach us all the things we'll find useful one day. From a phone's end, you lend sympathies to those with worries. From a garden, you offer glimpses to all the opportunities will wait for us in the future. From a van, you deliver the goods we thought we no longer warranted. From a social thread, you bring together unlikely groups of friends in a single place. From miles away, sending the message. From down the street, applauding in the distance. From across the road, waving by the window. From the room next door, calling through the wall. From all of us, we thank you wherever we are. From everyone, for all the things you've done and all the work you're still to do. Noughties nostalgia. Ever found yourself missing the noughties? I have. As Mum goes on about how great the 70s were, Grandad still thinks it's the good old years of 1947. Me? I want to go back to the real best of times. From the beginning of a new millennium to the end of '09, the promising years of warmth before this country became so cold and isolated. Blair was out, Brown and Boris were moving in. This funny old country had yet to become a joke. We're in the last years of blissful ignorance before reveals of ugly truths with tarnished names from our parents' childhoods. Recessions, austerity, scandals, senseless war in Syria, a referendum that would split the country in two, and a virus that would bring the country and the world to its knees. Those were all still to come. It was a time before apps, when the fanciest thing a phone could do was take a picture or two. Film stood on their own rather than squander screen time setting up the profits from the sequel after next. Telly was tame, no darkness or grit needed to garner praise, and producers had yet to leech viewership figures from idiots in Essex. Smokers were being forced outside, giving us a few years of clean air before the vape pens let them back inside. The internet wasn't full of unfounded rumours and needless toxicity. YouTube was the novelty, not ignorance. Then it all came to an end as the first firework lit the midnight sky on January 1st, 2010. Perhaps in hindsight, we should have shed some thoughtful tears rather than drunken cheers at the decade that had just been laid to rest. Starting to feel old yet? Because I do. And I'm only 22.
Fantastic. You are watching A Way with Words, Spoken Word Open Mic, live stream virtual extravaganza. Please keep sharing the link, get as many people watching as possible. And here is your next performer of the evening, the wonderful Anne Wellham.
I'm not moaning. Well, I am. I should be in Mexico, sat in a hot tub in 35 degrees, getting off my tits on bottomless margaritas. But I'm here in the rain. So this is my poem called The Ump. It was written post slagging off the World Health Organization, but pre-injecting or ingesting disinfectant. Sorry, what do I think of your president, Donald J. Trump? I have concerns. $1 billion business to world domination. Even in his egoland, it's a scarily large jump. Superficial is his style, so in my defence, he started it. Just look at him. Melania, never in a million years or under offer of £1 billion is he someone this old girl would ever charity hump. Let's start at the top, because that is where he believes himself to be. That hair, it looks like Mr. Whippy has taken a big sloppy dump. That face, the inner slick mouth, talking shit. Telltale dimples, enhancing the Botox plump. At press conferences, he stands, waiting, pausing, cracking, breaking, like a previously seemingly immovable lump. But wait, the soundbite is stuck like an old record. Listen. Bump, bump, crackle, bump. The message is becoming clear. Dump, Trump, the hump-a-lump Trump, jump-a-plump Trump, bump, Trump, bump, Trump, bump, Trump, harump, 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 harump. I do think I've finally lost it, but stay safe.
Thank you very much. I'm Jim Higo. This is A Way with Words, Spoken Word Open Mic, live stream virtual extravaganza. And now we've got a wonderful poet from Hull, Matt Nicholson is next. He's just released his latest collection, which is called Small Havocs. Look out for that and enjoy Matt Nicholson.
Ah, yeah. So, I saw Jim's call out for videos, and I thought I might do some poems that I did or had their first outing Away with Words maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So this one is the first one, and this one is about, well, it's about spite, and this is called The Back of My Hand. I wrote the words back of my hand in black ink on the back of my hand. It wasn't planned. I wouldn't normally self-label like that, and I've no predilection for a tattoo, but from where I stand, it might just be my only truth. Because the hand in question is very much attached to all the other bits I know as mine. I can't shake it off, though I have tried, and I'm not looking after it for an imaginary friend. And as I have no plans to begin a short ill-starred career as a thief in Saudi Arabia, I am stuck with it. Like it or not, the bond with this hand is permanent. But then, I hear you say, asking another question entirely, can you be sure that it is in fact a hand, and not some foot or a bullet or a novel? I stop dead, and then I choose to raise two fingers, and I say that this hand is defined by its function, by what it does and with how much success, how it touches and holds and squeezes like nothing else in my armoury can manage. And we move on to the thorniest of all your questions, the one where your face looks smug like an alligator, and you ask how I can be sure that I have written on the back of said hand. And with a flash, as bright as Einstein in these eyes, I say to you, listen, pal. I've done the hard yards. I've proved to you that this is in fact a hand, and I'm right to claim it as mine. And when it comes to matters of perspective, of practice and of pragmatism, I reckon I know people like you, just like I know the back of my hand. Right, so this next one I definitely remember doing at Union Mashup Away with Words, probably more than once, probably not very well, but this one is a poem about a broken-hearted drunk on his way home from the pub, and this one is called 19 Years. He's in a rage, as red as Mars, and carves his keys into the skins of 19 cars, and that is one for every year since you left. He's done with thinking. He's done with reading religion's fag paper pages. He's not yet numb, but there's still cider left to drink. And he has scraped the skin on his shin to the bone. He's still 19 miles from home, and that is one for every year since he breathed. He makes a fist. He starts to crave the end of these endless days when his blood will coagulate and wait for his own redundant heart to flourish. What's up, Nout? You mind your own. He sits down on the curbstone and he counts out his life like he's dividing the shrapnel in his pocket for one more drink. He spits into cold hands and he pinches tobacco strands from the tip of his indentured tongue. I never did out wrong. That's his favourite song as the wind scuttles down from the dock. And with gloved fingers that close his eyes, sleep offers no compromise. He will slump down into this gutter where he will dream of her again. And then to finish off, I'm going to do the poem that I probably did most often in my earlier visits to Away with Words. And this one is a poem about drunks again. This one is about drinking men in the old pubs in the old parts of old towns. And this one is called Beneath This Old Sod Lies Another. You were silenced by your pigeon throat, blinded by your rabbit black eyes. You were hobbled in the street where the elders meet, and you were promised a messianic surprise. But you were unable to stand as the goats bled out. You were too drunk to hear the mosquitoes sing their recycled hopes where the elderly cope and they pray for salvation and spring. And in your mirror hung a collage of blue, purple and red, scales of Rizla-thin skin, papers folded, unfolded and folded again. You read braille off a plucked chicken's wing. But now your life is laid out flat like old clothes on a bed, and your dreams they're lowered into cold earth. But your heart is still a cocktail made from reason and rum, and I love you for whatever that's worth. Thank you very much. All the best. Cheers.
The next performer, please enjoy the wonderful Dave Smith.
There's another year goes ticking by. Now you're at that age where you start to lie. Well, you're not one off, not had one on. I'm 49, not 51. But the fact is that you're 50, mate, and I'm sorry if that number grates, but you're just the same as all the rest, so swap Lacoste for a warm string vest. Ibiza's just a distant dream, now it's Bognor Regis with scones and cream. Faliraki, not a chance. Wednesday's OAPT dance. Adidas trainers now long gone. Nice suede loafers, they're the one. Where t-shirts used to float your boat, now it's hat and scarf and winter coat. You turn the telly up because your hearing's not quite what it was. Comfy slippers, recliner chairs, trimming ear and nostril hairs. No more gigs, it's just too loud and you can't sit down with all that crowd. From a night out on the gin and jam, to Horlicks and to Mazepam. Now life will change in many ways. Welcome to Saga Holidays.
Great stuff. Okay, this is A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. And next we have got one of Hull's finest writers and performers, the wonderful Tom Atkinson.
Good evening, and this is A Way with Words virtual experience night 2, Jimbo. It's the difficult second album. If it's anything as good as the first, this should be an absolute smashing show. Tonight I'm going to play one of my own tunes called The Street, and it's all about a street, surprisingly, growing up in Leeds, because I'm ashamed to say that that is where I'm from. And sometimes I slip into accent like and start talking like I'm right gormless. Sorry about that, don't know what happened there. Anyway, the last show, everyone else was doing poetry, you know, seeing as it's a poetry night, and I thought I'd do a song. But tonight I'm going to do a little bit of a poem that is context for the song, really. Because growing up, my dad was from Hull, still is, I suppose, and he installed in me that I was never to support Leeds United and was to support Hull City like him. That turned out well in the end. Hull City, of course, their defence were socially distancing before socially distancing became a thing. So I've written a poem called Father and Son, all about me, father and son upstairs who's snoring away, and my hopes for him. So it goes like this. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be that's the wrong poem. Sorry, our neighbour's cat Stephen has been in again, rifling about my stuff. Excuse me for a sec. Seamless. So this is it. You could drop out of school, but I'll still love you. You could say Coldplay are your favourite band, but I'll still love you. You could say bean juice instead of tomato sauce, but I'll still love you. You could steal a car, but I'll still love you. You could become brainwashed and join a cult, but I'll still love you. But if you fucking support Leeds, you're dead to me. So that's Father and Son. Anyone who is a specialist in iambic pentameter and rhyme schemes, you know, keep your opinion to yourself. It's just a bit of a laugh. So this is The Street. It's all about growing up on an estate in Leeds where everybody knew everybody's business. They were mainly burglars, which was good business for them because, you know, they knew when we were out. So this is the street. On the pillow to breakfast in bed, a sky draped in sunshine throws a song in your head. Alarm bell still echoes the start of the day, and the walk into work gets longer every day. And the traffic's in chaos as the school run begins, and the morning churchgoers, they wash away their sins, and the radio is playing to the lonely someone. And at 10 past the hour, the street stays begun. on the go. The kettle is boiling while the work whistle blows. Illicit feelings and affairs get exposed, with the girl on the side that the wife doesn't know, and the lads that are planning the drinks for the night, while the frustrated girlfriends stay lonely all night. The roses in water and a glass of red wine, leave the shopping till later, the street comes alive. And the dutiful wife who spins thoughts in her head of her faithful husband in some other bed. Another break of a bone, another cut to the face, but she cannot tell no one. That's the street saving grace. Cars in the driveway and dinners to serve. Retire to the lounge, watch a log fire burn. The smell of fresh laundry and homework to do. A walk with the dogs, then a movie to view. A long kiss goodnight, and tomorrow we'll call. The pub's kicking out times, the drunkards do fall. Bricks and mortar, and the people that roam, well, this is their streets, there's no place like home. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Okay, next up we have got our youngest performer of the evening. So please enjoy Milo Drury.
Hello, I'm Milo Drury. I'm the son of Sarah Drury and I'm 12 years old. And today I'll be reading a poem about the coronavirus. Here we go. Coronavirus is bad. It makes me very mad. I'll be glad when it's all over. I can't see my friends. The death will never end. I wish I could spend more time with my friends. The quarantine is driving me insane. It's crashing down like a plane. Coronavirus is bad. It makes me extremely mad.
You're watching A Word with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. And our next performer has been making an absolute fantastic impact on the local poetry scene just recently. So please enjoy the wonderful Lilith.
I am not your gap or your woman in between. We aren't too young to both know what that means. I am not your option to pick up as you please. I am a person and a person with feelings. I am not your faults. I am not your blames, not your frustrations that drives you out into the rain. I am worthy of a full reaction, not a diversion or distraction. And my love will overflow into another's open home. I will find happiness after your departure. I will not allow you to make things harder. And if this is regret you feel, then you need to learn to deal. And I can't be the one to mend this. I will be sailing into the seas and seeing what the world has for me. Please don't make me talk about my trauma. Today I want to watch it walk away out of the door. It's not welcome anymore. It's not welcome in my mind, and it's not welcome of my time. Please don't make me talk about my trauma. It's just like a limb or an insignificant organ that's not actually needed but attached. A piece of me for now. But I hate going over and over. Every time that I do, I relive the pain that I had in that room, in that place I left a year ago. I take a breath. It's not you, it's not me. But I can't help it some days, you see. I'm angry and I'm sad, then I can turn really happy and glad. But that's just to hide the true emotions that demands and eats at me. At night, I give them a hand of food to eat like a pet under the bed. So please, don't make me talk about my trauma. I don't want to get him out again. It's not even the end of the night, and something just doesn't feel quite right. People are so loud, and I can't stand the sound. Maybe I should call a taxi home. And you said I didn't need to go, but I feel pretty wasted enough. Maybe we should just be friends. Friends? Yeah, you didn't take that lightly. I don't want to make things frightening. Now the conversations ran dry. Maybe we shouldn't have been having each other on each other's minds. Look, I don't know which road you're heading, but I just want to go home. The taxi shouldn't take too long. I carried you, but I can't remember the pregnancy. I celebrated, but secretly in my head. I carried you and then I had a baby. The secrets from people came after you was birthed. I carried you. I didn't name you. I carried you. I was never ashamed. I carried you until the end. The events after that I never comprehended. They said to be careful, to be aware. But I had no signs or symptoms, apart from this swallowing despair. Emptiness. Someone took a giant carving knife that was carved into a shape of a ball. That's how it felt when they took you, when you was born. Guilt. Some call it the bump. I can't remember now, and I don't remember how, but I carried you. If this is goodbye, then I should know better than to cry. I don't have to try. At last I say goodbye. And if only it was that easy to walk away breezy. Should I stay ease in or walk away freedom? If this is goodbye, then I am sorry. But what do I have if I stay but worry? You won't go anywhere in a hurry. I don't want to be your anchor any longer. I need a life transfer, an answer. I know it's not fair, but I'm not her. I am not the vision you want me to be. A goodbye doesn't mean what you think. I just want to be free for a little bit.
This is A Word with Words live stream virtual extravaganza. Please, if you're watching, share the links, get as many people watching as possible, start some watch parties, and welcome your next performer, the marvellous Howard Shaw.
Good evening. We must take heed. We are truly wondrous things, we human beings. We cut, we bleed, we heal, we touch, we kiss, we care. We are creatures of this world we live in. We can't blame the pangolin. We have to care. We have to be aware. We are not alone. We share this air, our home. We have a choice. We must now have a voice. We have to stop being materialistic. We have to get the politicians to be realistic. We have to think of everyone. We must look after this planet before we pass it on. We must listen to the one inside our head. One day, we'll all be dead. Thank you. And this one's called Coronavirus Musings. And it's my thoughts about the situation. And just generally musings, really. We're all on lockdown. And there's been deer seen in the town. There's a goat on my lawn eating my grass. I've even found time to shag our lass. Trump says we should drink bleach. Is that just to stop him being impeached? When I push my shopping trolley around the store, I don't get rammed by disabled buggers anymore. There are no grannies blocking the aisles, and no kids running wild. The girl at the checkout says, "Hello, on your own? Where's the missus under the patio?" Richard Branson is isolating on his Necker Island home. He's pissed off because the government won't give him a loan. I've applied just to get back on track, but it's 3 weeks now and they've not run me back. Well, here I am, cooped up, examining my life. My only company is the wife. I might be going off my head, but at least I can go down the garden for a wank in the shed. Thank you. Good night.
This is a Word with Words live stream, and please enjoy your next performer, the marvellous Joe Paholka.
Hello, and we're in our second month, enjoying it as much as I can. Inspiration's been it's been there. So I've written a poem about like inner thoughts, inner sights, dreams, that sort of issue. Just to take our minds off everything, you know. So it starts. White light, you pitter around, on and off unless I stare. Catch me unaware at times. Can anyone else see what I'm saying? Maybe I'm a TV screen for an interdimensional being, coalescing, dreaming, or perhaps an act of oneness. I'm describing maybe a softening, a drop in the ocean offering. But isn't it weird? I can't go back to that primitive way of stiffness. Be it seen as a blessing, none the listening, though it's all the self-ending to a mad hallucination. Self-prognosis, it's the invisible hand to pull you out at the end of the day. So stay with me, if not seeing beauty but madness. Could I then ask you to show me your hardest way of becoming someone unglued by the world, by its confines of the day-to-day mind? Forgive me for disturbing you. But dreams, how they appear from the nothing of night, and so does that light, the third-eyed known as a wishing well, a shoulder I can tell anything to, because already it knows the to's and fro's, the wondrous pitfalls that turn to lessons, deeper beckoned to learn from. All the pictures transforming me, dreams, the deeper sea, as we came into being, all with our eyes not seen. What awaits, learning how to calculate this life and the conquest ahead. How psychedelic the unseen can be, reaching in, out dances the insane, but pretty the sights can be of natural seclusion. You see, time goes by, and we need to recharge from the illusion. The whole at large is too much for our minds at constant glow. But the question seems to stay. The thought of death sways, plays and entices the mind to wonder what lies under. Is it all collected identity? See, I don't mind it, if so, because that would explain a lot more than a dark door of nothing. He who dares not bother sings the hymns of an replacement religion, instead of owning that indescribable sight of inner light. You see, a human being just philosophical, has only thoughts, so I personally can't breathe completely without poetry's shout. Can't just live a life of brain, 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 then magnetically I feel more ingrained in the heart to reign. But we've more hands tied to the shadow of the not knows, because naturally we're always on the lookout. There's a restful sense though, that one just before and after sleep. Mind keeps on showing the rowing of lights, burring through the blurring world of works, out of the murky waters to the heights of dreamful shoulders, where rests this head of boulders, to tumble down where the waters take, for heaven's gate reaches roots unearthed from the self-hell. Wherever our eyes have flown from, you'll always find me resting, head up toward the night sky of stars. Thank you, and I hope everyone's doing alright. Keep yourselves okay, and this will all be over soon, hopefully. Anyway, hope you have a good night. See you next time.
But please welcome local poetry legend Terry Ireland.
I was watching this couple walking down Beverley Road, holding hands, of a certain age, and the way they looked at each other inspired this poem. She had a face like a fish fryer's basket, all stressed and creased and lined. His like a bag of old spanners, abused, misused, misaligned. She jumped his place in the beer queue one boozy Saturday night, and instead of taking offence, he loved her at first sight. Two aging hippies who'd never ever bricked it, and when they got together they really felt they'd clicked it. They consummated their relationship in the yard outside the bar, then once or twice more in the back seat of his car. They came down together, laughing at life's little joke. Then he pulled out his baccy pouch and rolled them both a toke. Two aging people who decided to grab the chance to waltz their way together through life's uncertain dance. They became a couple, saw each other more and more and more, but when they looked at each other, it was only beauty that each saw. With her face like a fish fryer's basket, all stressed and creased and lined. His like a bag of old spanners, abused, misused, misaligned. This next one, most people will know that I spent the last 7 years working with homeless ex-forces. Most of them have got problems, including PTSD, among others. This one's called Broken Soldier. As a child he played soldiers, marched them gaily off to war. As a young man he joined them, as so many had done before. He was sent off to places he wished he'd never been, and he saw some sights he wished he'd never seen. He performed some acts he wished he could undo, but they told him he was fighting to defend the rights of folk like you. He finished his engagement, still a relatively young man, and dealt with the memories the way the resilient can. Now, so many years later, the bad dreams won't go, and he's become a kind of man that nobody wants to know. He wanders the streets to escape the voices screaming in his head from some of the things he's done and some of the things he said. And he sees your disgust when he tries to escape in booze, and he's sorry if he offends you, but you've never walked in his shoes. The actions of a man return to haunt him when he's older. Like so many, he's become just another unwanted broken soldier. Thank you.
This is a Word with Words live stream, and next on the stage is Mr. Roy Heath.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the second edition of Corona News, brought to you by Jim Higo Productions, Away with Worms, which will once again be coming to you from up the road your lounge. You'll all probably be relieved to know that we won't be having chicken tonight. So here we have the latest Corona News headlines. As you can see, the situation with razors is still critical. All efforts are being made to upscale production at the Gillette factory. There is news that a new infection is hitting the streets. Though it is not work of my own, I'm going to read a piece tonight to make the public aware of the risks involved. Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. I passed around the corner and someone saw me grin. When he smiled, I realised I'd passed it on to him. I thought about that smile, then I realised its worth. A single smile, just like mine, can travel round the earth. So if you feel a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start an epidemic quick and get the world infected. Throughout the crisis, rainbows have been popping up everywhere, and I have been out gorilla choking while on my ramblings. It brings to mind the stark reality that for the last few weeks I've not been able to see my granddaughter, who lives in Leek, the beautiful Iris Florence Joyce. For those of you that don't know, Iris was the Greek goddess of rainbows, and this is a poem I wrote just after she was born. Iris, messenger to the gods, golden winged wondrous one, goddess of rainbows. The iridescent beauty that is Iris Florence Joyce makes my heart swell, makes my eyes well with tears at your beauty. Beauty I can no longer share. Tears of joy to wash away, tears of heartbreak from yesterdays. And they meld to form crystals that glisten in the sunlight as you bring us rainbows, rainbows to the room. Born of the full moon, a lunar child, a healer of broken hearts. Iris of the wondrous eyes to captivate and mesmerize, cherished and watched over by angels. The origami princess unfolding to the world, perfection of procreation, a truly wondrous girl. And your beauty is your mother's beauty, as you swim to her arms, nuzzle to the bosom of your earth mother. And everything in the world felt just right. Welcome Earthside, dear Iris Florence Joyce. Welcome to the music. Welcome to the light. I'm going to finish with a poem what I wrote quite some time ago about a housefly that was mistakenly sprayed with air freshener. It's called Poor Paul. Now I'm a little housefly, my mates all called me Paul, and I was minding my own business, just sticking to the wall, when some dirty rotten bleeder went and come along and sprayed me with an aerosol. God, what a blooming pong. I heard the lousy devil say this can should knock him dead, but he'd do better with it if he bashed me on my head. Now all my pals they won't let on, they turn and hold their noses. They say they think I could be gay, 'cause I'd stink of bleeding roses. And my girlfriend, she won't talk to me. I'm up the blooming creek. She says she won't go out with me, 'cause she just can't stand the reek. I wish she'd really got me with the proper blooming spray, 'cause I'm now a bleeding outcast. I can't stand another day. So I think I'll have to end it all, and that's the end of that. I'm on his desk right next to him. I hope he gets me. Splat. So, it's good night from me, and it's good night from Hare. Stay safe. See you on the other side. Good night.
This is A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. Your next performer is the marvellous Esther Femin.
Hiya, I'm Esther. So, exclusion zone. The atom split at February's end. On the green land unnoticed, the blast threw everyone back. Smaller than cells, able to slip between the chasms in our skin. Those most silent spots winking in the sunlight, that catch the stray words that fall from faceless mouths, all piled up, and the blast shook them loose. To run from the air, sit, lay down, as the chatter ripples up, sitting at the top of your neck, the dark matter conjured from living. Away from the nuclear lakes that were once things with names, in the household corner, there the words make home. They shriek with joy. New Tigress. Outside a closed takeaway on my street, a river has run a new course. Life unmade, then made again, on top of the old. The sole red lights left on. Water sucked sparingly, then overflowing, gathered in the clouds from the second floor. There with the energy to burst the concrete bank and add another river in the city of rivers. An urban Ganges, where a pigeon bathes, bending like the Nile around the tyres of a black people carrier. The mystic headwaters for all to see. Our latter-day Euphrates begins near the doorstep of a shut curry house. Give enough time, and as with daisies and dandelions poking through black bin bags, cardboard bleached by sunshine, ablutions at the new founts of life seeping up through the stone. Ishtar now waits at my bus stop. Day 2. Each corner drawn closer by hearts and souls, 1,000 years experience building up hope. Sunken dry and heavy by chemical hold, each other's hands thrown under a common yoke. Metropolis and hamlet passing tale and truth. Add growth, add wisdom, add rays of sun. So much is old that should gleam anew, yet love seeps and is drunk deep as one. Take up the day and divest the fear, all evil and hatred of self destroy, and bask in fields gold and water clear. Time draws down both pain and joy. Weakness is strength and fear is power, a universe of life in every second and hour. Thank you.
Okay, you're watching A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza, and it's come a bit dark, floodlights are on. Hope you're enjoying it. Please keep spreading the word, and this is your next performer, the marvellous Ben Bradshaw.
Do You? By Benjamin Bradshaw. Do you ever feel like you're falling? Gravity is pulling you, tugging at your existence, falling so fast you find it hard to breathe, hard to notice the blurred worlds, the ones that you fly past, a signal to stop. But keep heading down. Do you ever feel like laughing? Giggle after pathetic giggle behind a stone face, blue and rigid from the act. Feel the joke, live the joke, you are the joke. Laugh at all things hopeful. Do you ever feel like your head's an office? Secrets stored in folders, memories clogging up the shredder, living to a deadline, grasping for a break, trying slowly to understand. Do you ever feel like a burden? Like fresh filth on a new clean sofa, or a stain in a friendship, a weight upon a feather. Tell them not to waste their time. The paths I'll always walk alone. Do you ever feel like your head hurts? a pain no drug can ease, no tablet can calm the blow or numb the madness of a loud subconscious, a constant banging in the skull of art we smile from.
This is Word with Words, and next up, it's Linda Owen.
Hello. There's been a lot of rainbow images about being safe at home, so a poem about rainbows. Living in the moment is something I do when rainbows appear, and I know they don't happen every day of the year, but it's carved in gold by the gods of the 7 holy colours, shall marry when rain and sun is full. So I witness this sight, for it's one heck of a show of brilliant coloured lights. They master the sky without touching anything. I stay by its side, taking it all in, eyes transfixed in this moment. I know you will fade, so in my arms I embrace and put you with all my other rainbow days. I cling to each colour as if my finger touches each one and ticks them off. A backdrop of blues showing the rainbow off. So precise, the 7 colours, streaming, arching, dipping over planet Earth. For the sky seems limitless, like the universe. And below, you and I, the physical, of land and of home. I compare the world at this precise moment, the physical of work and the journey through life. As an adult, aware of my own energy field that lifts to that high vibrational flow. For you and I hold the 7 rainbows, energy colours within, the 7 chakras, precise colours the very same. Now they do come in 2s, for her second is bigger than her. Yet faded she is, like my aura, with me wrapped inside. So look close, for there are 2 rainbows in the sky. For that downpour of rain, often unwanted, uninvited, but blasted with sun, telling me it's good to shine on rainy days and simply be surprised how creative we are. With knowledge I've gained of the rainbow colours, I can simply tell you this. Red is life. Orange is order. Yellow is wisdom. Green is for love. Blue is power. Purple, imagination. These gifts that sum up life. But like the innocence of your inner child, lost in sky rainbows, with songs, tales, pots of gold, making wishes and bluebirds fly. And is rain not tears, and sun the solution to get us through? Living in the moment when rainbows appear is something I do. Thank you.
And now for something a little bit different from Dave Drasdo.
Helen, here's a last minute quick one. I just remembered to do it. I thought I'd try and cheer everybody up with one by Philip Larkin, and it's called At Grass. The eye can hardly pick them out from the cold shade they shelter in, till wind distresses tail and mane. Then one crops grass and moves about, the other seeming to look on, and stands anonymous again. Yet 15 years ago, perhaps, 24 distances sufficed to fable them. faint afternoons of cups and stakes and handicaps, whereby their mains were artificed, to inlay faded. Classic Junes, silks at the start, against the sky, numbers and parasols. Outside, squadrons of empty cars and heat, and littered grass. Then the long cry hanging unhushed till it subside, to stop press columns on the street. The memories plague their ears like flies, they shake their heads, dusk brims the shadows, summer by summer all stole away, the starting gates, the crowd and cries, all the unmolesting meadows, almanacked their names live, they have slipped their names, and stand at ease, or gallop for what must be joy, and not a field glass sees them home, or curious stopwatch prophecies. Only the grooms and the groom's boy with bridles in the evening come. Oh, that was all right. Cheers. Ta-da.
Next, we've got our favourite poet from Sheffield, the wonderful Dave Attrill.
Hi, Jim. Never saw the day I thought I'd be able to do this 2 months on the trot. Going to do a couple of old ones from the last 2 years for you today, as I've not managed to find time to get any new stuff written in the last few weeks I've been off, which I know you find quite disgusting. This one's called Angel in the Aisle. It was impossible to avert my eye in the slightest any longer. At the very second you made a sweeping, graceful entry through that great glass door at the distant end, divine in your silky dark red waistcoat and diamond white light blouse, sleek, long, sandy blonde hair, rippling with the cool indoor air, as you strode from seat to seat, addressing all with a smile that possessed the strength to defeat. Your freshly applied lipstick clung on for dear life, as you constantly opened them wide to unveil your insurmountably polished teeth. Then you were finally up and right onto me, your face and mine came aligned, alone by the force of your mighty blue eyes. If I could make out cities and countryside rushing right by, if only I could risk getting close enough without offending, yet your lips had already parted each other once again, accompanied by a smile shaped out of anticipation, and the words you'd been preparing to ask me all day. Excuse me, love, you got anything that you need throwing away? And on to my second one, and my unorthodox 41st birthday celebration, which is my long-distance bike ride to date, which is Sheffield to Leeds, which took just under 5 hours. Celebration habits of the average 40-something. What did I do on my 41st birthday? Oh yes, I cycled all the way from Sheffield to Leeds. I'm sure I'm not amongst the many taking it to such degrees, while others, my age group, prefer a picnic in a remote Yorkshire park, carrying their crusty blue tartan blanket, 3 overflowing Tupperware vessels, stuffed with ham sandwiches and a chocolate cake for 20 from Asda that actually fed 30, and sat around nattering for hours and hours, while their kids run amok after the ball in the reeds. But no, not me. I cycled all the way from Sheffield to Leeds. Some might receive invites to a second-floor suburban bedsit, swathed by hoary variations of orange or brown, curtains scarcely drawn to decorate the 15 or so in attendance, strolling to and fro over to pick away from plates of exotic dried vegetables, spread left, right and centre under the shadow of swinging handcrafted beads. Meanwhile, I cycled all the way from Sheffield to Leeds. Unlike those who hit the city and party for the night, dirtying every open nightclub floor in sight, drowning cocktail after JD after beer after dirty pint even, and then hitting the floor, forgetting whose big night they were actually out for, while lads slammed them down and slammed into each other of their fellow would-be Oliver Reeds. I think I'll be safe cycling all the way from Sheffield to Leeds. Shoot back a year and a function room at a sports club, the door held open to 50 people from every walk of my life, flocking to support a once-in-a-lifetime celebration. People of different ages and opposing tastes traded friendly conversation as the music perpetuated for most till their last bus of the night. But wind on a year, again, it's a family meal for four in a pub in Millhouses until electricity cuts halfway through the starter. Annoying, yes, but still a half-hearted get-together that I was glad didn't fully succeed, because I'd already cycled all the way from Sheffield to Leeds. And that's when you decided I need putting on one.
You're watching Away with Words. Please keep spreading the word, sharing the link. Now we're going on location with Andrew Hems.
Hello poets. On location where this poem is based, it's called St. Peter's Restoration. We came here for air to mend, to heal a bit. I don't think it'll do the trick, but it's the thought that counts, isn't it? These must be newer deceased, on the row, a la the Somme. Polished black marbleette, oozing loss in bouquet and photograph. No creeping moss, no deeply weathered tombs in the undergrowth. We converse under council canopy, fresh water supplied, and reviving orchids died, making fresh attempts at salvage, wreckage, or a mixture of the two. We both smoke now. You can see Salt End from here.
You're watching Away with Words. Next we have Speak Out Scunny's very own Sarah Drury.
Hi, I've written 2 poems, especially for this coronavirus. The first one's called Bullshit, and be warned there's a bit of swearing in these poems. Gangs of youths, balaclavaed faces, trainers choked with mud from prohibited places. No one's going to force us to pissing well embrace this social distancing propaganda rat race. It's all fucking bullshit. Wayward teens, parents don't give a shit if we're lacing up another coronavirus hit. Delinquents wear the face if it damn well fits. Only give a damn if your hair is on flick. It's all fucking bullshit. Loitering around, pissed and stoned, fucking around, making TikToks on our phone, breathing the deaf air, spreading toxic with our bones, ringing out the death knolls with our knocked off iPhones. It's all fucking bullshit. Best friend's gone now, intensive care. Didn't give a shit, pissed his chances in the air. Fucking his fate over a told you so chair. Just another news story for the BBC to share. It's all fucking bullshit. Thank you. Right, my next poem is like a sequel to a poem I wrote a while back called Shit Mum, and it's called Coronavirus Mum. Here goes. I must defiantly admit it. I didn't think coronavirus would be so fucking shit. As I'm dragging out my son from his tweenage stinking boy pit, and he's sleeping in old PJs because I ain't washed shit and nothing fits. It's hard when you're alone and you're on your own and life is shit, and he's 12 years old and a bit. I didn't think Home Ed would be so wrong. I didn't think that every morning he'd be singing me a sob song, that I'm working him like Jesus and Tenko is his theme song, that his friends don't do no work and I'm being a cruel bitch all along. Why is my son so fucking headstrong? I didn't think self-isolation would go on forever. I used to think that propaganda was Boris just being clever. I always hoped that we would never stand so close together, and I'm loving that I walk around in no clothes whatsoever, and that shaving all my hairy bits no longer an endeavour. But who needs a shag these days, whenever, wherever? Our sexy bits will heal up forever. I didn't think that shopping would be such a joke. I never thought I'd need 200 toilet rolls for a tougher bloke. Going round grabbing pasta needing Harry Potter's magic cloak. Can't loiter around the entrance choking wacky backy smoke. Standing 2 meters away from your hostile Tesco queuing folk. Get your hand sanitizer out and punch that bloke. I must defiantly admit it. I didn't think that coronavirus would be so fucking shit. I can see half of the country panic buying rampant rabbits, and the other half are drowning in the bog roll when they have to sit in social distance bathrooms with their virus manky half-wits, and folk all over England are falling into death pits. When will our fucking country get their act together with this shit in another 6 months and a bit? Thank you.
This is a Word with Words spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza, and we've got our first special guest next. He is an absolutely phenomenal writer, absolutely phenomenal performer, one of my favourite poets. Please enjoy the genius that is Matt McAteer.
Hi. There's only a suggestion, now that we're older, maybe forgo the old day, go seek out some culture, glimpse some beauty. Before the carnage and debauchery, the groom-to-be glares at me, the best man states categorically, this is the way it's going to be, a weekend in the capital, getting kettled. Images of tenors plunging into thongs, vomit, spunk and blood, incoherent drunken songs, a weekend in the capital, getting kettled. A weekend in the capital, getting squeezed by the party police. Don't know how we ended up there, smoking cigars, guzzling fine wine, obnoxious, loud, incongruous, like a pun in a broadsheet headline. The black rings around the groom's eyes, the products of nature, cheap speed and alcohol. The barman's blown from mascara and more exotic pharmaceuticals. A gate crashes chin-stroking conversation, an exhibition at the Hayward. An anodyne interjection about Emin before the best man's behaviour goes wayward. Eyebrows raise, heads shake. Their expression says it all. Put the straw back between your teeth and fuck off back up north. But I can't stop staring at his mate's hair. It's angled like a hatchet in his brain. And forever a maraca shaking bug-eyed bez against their Nuria Van Fontaine. I'm not of their breed, never going to share their stimulating enlightened dialogue. Destined for Speaker's Corner Sunday morning, throwing breakfast at the demagogues. A weekend in the capital, it's claustrophobic, no exit, no entry. No escape from the preponderance of pissheads, no invitations from the gentry. A weekend in the capital, getting kettled. That's a really old poem. It's called Getting Kettled, as you might have gathered. Yeah, I've been struggling to finish any new poems during the lockdown. I've been mainly drinking too much Red Stripe, eating crisps and watching Columbo, which is a better way of spending your time, I think. The next poem I'm going to do was written just before lockdown and recorded. It's about this lovely lady, Christine Keeler, brought down the government in the early 60s, and also about the chair that she's sitting on. It was designed by a Swedish fella, influenced by the Bauhaus, German Bauhaus. So it's about the differences in terms of who got some sense of redemption following the Profumo scandal, and also the cultural influences that were flying around at the time, including from the Bauhaus, things like furniture, Habitat opened around that time, Mary Quant's fashion design, Vidal Sassoon's haircuts, all had Bauhaus influences. Other things going about black American R&B, Jamaican blue beat. So it's a cultural melting pot that all seems to be sort of seen as British now. So this is called Fake Scandinavian Chair. Back then, revolution straddled a fake Scandinavian chair. We have a nostalgia here for a time and place past that was never really there. Italian Lambrettas, suits and frothy coffee. 5-point Greek Jewish haircut geometry, sculpted using the finest German design and technology. Hepcat jazz lingo, all Dolly Polari, Dolly Eat Bonaroba, shedding Mary Quant Mini. Now Boomer Boy is fat and full and over the counter culture. Teddy Boy shrinks the suit, pines for City Gent Bowler, wants clean lines, streamlined, classic British, Perry Sherman dogma. Euro threads no longer bone a drag. Nancy Measures scared of Johnny Foreigner, dipping his loppers in the national handbag. Back then, though, revolution straddled a fake Scandinavian chair, luscious rear. If you don't remember, you were probably never there. Christ the Redeemer cleansed the soul of the City Gent Bowler sinner. The real female revolutionary, sweet Dolly Keeler, eaten by wolves for dinner. All right, the last one I'm going to do is called Vitruvian. You might remember a few years ago, Da Vinci painting called Salvator Mundi was sold at auction for upwards of 400 million quid. Yeah, it's usually backed by this fella, Ichabod Wolf, on guitars. I encourage you to get this album, it's fantastic. He's also got a new set called Live and Lazy, recorded during the lockdown on his Bandcamp, free, and which is absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I'm gonna do Vitruvian. Pink Floyd's Pig flies high outside my window. Everything here is safe. The place is gated. The mood inside sedated, almost opiated. I feel Vitruvian. I saw and stole the future, proved I could be it. Pink Floyd's Pig flies high, the new old master. A 20th century Da Vinci, I'm floating by above the debris. Morning routine, private yoga Bali. 24-hour news reports on the politics of envy. I listen impassively and feel Vitruvian. Mind and body perfectly centered. Everything in proportion mirrors the architecture. I've reached the point where art, science and commerce meet the body and the blood. I turn and look at Salvator Mundi, given significance in the canon, a weight he does not merit and cannot carry. Right hand raised in blessing, a crystal orb in the left. Oh, Salvator Mundi, I saw and stole the future. Right hand raised in forgiveness, there's something wrong in the other. The reflection of the reflection in the glass, like scales out of balance. Oh, Salvator Mundi, come see the power and the glory. Meet the new young gods, come sit with us as we watch Pink Floyd's Pig fly past the new old remade remodeled power station. Our temple as empty art installation. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks very much to Jim for asking me. See you later. Cheers.
Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. This is A Way with Words. Please keep sharing the link, get as many people watching as possible. Our next performer is the wonderful Hannah Hodson.
This is a poem about an empath and their journey before they reach the stage of empowerment and how they're easily influenced by other people's energies and the kind of relationship dynamics that they can attract, and how their gifts can be perceived as weaknesses at that point. Okay, so it's called Empath. Empathy, superpower pigeonholed as fragile or crumbly, requires wisdom, willingness to learn. Commit humbly. Firstly, be aware, discern your stories from theirs. Sponge, absorbing all their hues. Drink magic potions, therapy, cleansing, whatever you choose to renew your colours, always trying to be fuller. Pouring and pouring, aiming for that cup half full. Sculpt optimism, manifest your vision. Gulp, gulp, they vacuumed it all up, of course. Plunged into pains not yours, whisked away by every wind, wishing you were thicker skinned. Swimming lengths across waters, exhausted, boundaries blurring, chaotic seas, foggy skies, calls unheard, hypnotic tides, puppy dog eyes luring you in, inviting your kindness to take a gander in his sea. Roaring the audio of his rough scrawling, oceans etching propaganda, specific selecting. It's your calling, your energy vampires need you. Lovely notion, you're what they require. Gentle heart, strong emotion. Intuition says corrupt. Never mind, you sign up, off you go. Never been great at saying no. Fling you left, right, a little unnerving. Sense the shift before it's here. Sounds like chaos, smells like fear. Still surfing the wave. Then the storm spits lightning, thunder, limbs struggling. Under you go. Under you go. Never been great at saying no. Unaware where they end and you begin. Sensitive soul dragged to the deep end before you could swim. Waves crashing down on new beliefs, old patterns rising up from beneath your kicking feet. The past playing on replay, and even though you say don't play it, it's familiar. Your archaic programming is yet to install from crawl or breaststroke, no time. Too occupied with ramming rehearsed storylines, no discerning, no examining. Down your throat till you splutter and choke, wondering how you woke in peace but slipped to the gutter, soaked in their shit, such a shift you attempt to sift through the day, rifling for answers. Whoever said this was a gift must have skipped this bit, you think. You're not quite the alchemist, not yet. You analyse the past hours. Where did you capsize, lose your power? You urgently scour for who polluted your space and What effect is your aura? Ring, ring, she calls out for help. You can't ignore her. You feel her grief. She needs you to rescue. You're the relief, her escape. It's against the grain, you say, but it's too late. Already tying your laces, grabbing your cape. You were never great at saying no. Though now you know better, but you go. Go get her, cradle her, softly, gently enable her. Aware playing the saviour is displaying unhealthy behaviour, holding her hostage and victim, scolding the choices you inflicted on yourself. A little too aware you can't blame anyone else. A little too aware in the soon future if you leave. You're landing on persecutor. Top left of old triangle drama. Is this a safe move with no spiritual armour? Calmly try to wangle your way out. Here comes the guilt trip. Has the triangle tilted because now she's aggressor? Fury in her eyes while your self-esteem's getting lesser and now you're confused. You dropped everything, but you have needs too, don't they matter? You ponder as you slouch on your pity pot base of the triangle. Do your needs matter or not? Yes, you assert yourself, jumping from the pity pot, adrenaline pumping. You're so oversensitive. Once again she calls the shots, her eyeballs roll. Once again empathy takes its toll. Once again you're left bruised, abused your own boundaries. You knew you'd be used. You hang up your cape, untie your laces. Note the guilt growing in the base of your gut. Note her grief in your chest. You detest it, aware she isn't your journey to emotionally invest in. You meet with your mirror. Not a midlife crisis, but curious enough you ask, why am I like this? Contemplate those who preach love and also had this life sussed. Once humans like us, Jesus, Buddha, sensitive lightworkers, intuitive leaders, deep feelers, healers, empathic. Note the connection, you're not so different, so what was their protection? Staring at your reflection, insight delivers that they found the truth. Discouraged you sigh, oh, what's the use? They were ascended masters. In your reflection, all you see is a codependent disaster. With increased awareness yet still absorbing energy so erratic, you once again question the fairness of suffering, the symptom of being empathic. Ending up, non-doubt, sensory overload, experiencing events only in survival mode. The battery's dead, no wheels to charge, and instead of energy explosions, it's existential dread who barges in. Why couldn't you fly or stop time, something cool, something useful, not being lumbered with experiences that weren't yours to own, and finding yourself drained as you just scan through your phone. Somewhere along the way you encounter someone like you. This soul has found the truth. You're inspired. He resembles a life you desire. You realise you're not alone. A reminder the way home is to embrace your empathy, vulnerability, hold your own hand. Replace resentment with boundaries, humility. Don't land on the triangle's trap. Opt out of that. Sensitivity is an ability, only abused when you take on what is not your responsibility. You begin the journey of protecting your energy, find you can give more wholeheartedly than before, but before you provide to anyone else, feed yourself. Empath, intuitive, empowered, liberated soul, requires wisdom, willingness to learn, commit humbly, firstly be aware, discern your own stories from theirs.
This is Word with Words, and next up we have the legend that is Mike O'Brien.
Hello, people at the Away with Words. Don't know if I'm too late sending this or what, but I got it finished recently. It's my first ever lockdown poem dealing with the serious issues brought up by this momentous age that we live in. It's called Bookcases. We can trust in an expert who's in his own home with his Skype or his Zoom or his camera phone in front of a bookcase that's filled up with lines of journals and volumes, all with perfect spines. If he's got stuff like that, then he's clever indeed, and he'll never get bored when he's all that to read. And he looks so calm, and we feel so distressed. So we'll do what he tells us to do for the best. And the government minister, he's at home too, and we have to give credence to his point of view, as he's sat at a desk with a lamp and a globe. He's a man of the world with a mind that can probe all the issues we have, and he'll deal with them well. And that bookshelf behind him, we can almost smell the leather-bound volumes of Hansard on there. So we're safe to entrust him with our welfare. But here's a man standing outside in the street, in his casual clothes, with trainers on his feet. He's questioned and filmed from 2 metres away, but there's no real import to what he's got to say. There's no fancy dress. There's no fancy desk or a bookcase on view, so his words can't be seen to have any value. His opinion means little when all's said and done. He's a vox pop, amusement. He's only for fun. There you go. That's bookcases, what I cocked up in the middle by saying fancy dress. But we're live, so it doesn't matter, does it? I'd have made that mistake if I were performing in front of you. Right, the only other poem I've written in this period where we've got acres of time to write stuff, I got to thinking about, my morality and the morality of men in general. So I wrote this poem called Bad Men. Bad Men. Hitler was a bad man, rotten to the core, bad-tempered, evil-minded, starting genocide and war. Not a decent man at all, not like me and you. What a nasty piece of work. Wicked, through and through. Christie was a bad man. At 10 Rillington Place, a filthy little pair there, a monster, a disgrace, murdering young women to have his wicked way. He got his neighbour hung for it. Immoral, wrong, foul play. Shipman was a bad man, killing off the old and pinching all their money, heartless, mean and cold, a foul and murderous GP, a shocking, evil villain, prescribing stuff like arsenic instead of penicillin. Compared to them, I'm not so bad. I'm not so bad at all. I'm not saying I'm perfect, just that my crimes are small. I might tell fibs occasionally and be impure in thought, but compared to those I've mentioned, I'm quite a decent sort. I thank you. I thank you very much.
Yeah, you're watching Away with Words. Please keep sharing the link. Your next performer is Lee Crossland.
Hello again. 3 new poems to read through. A couple of rehashed from older ones, but see how they go. The first one's called The Descent. A hellish hole, intense heat radiating, an eternal fall. A deadly descent, spiralling, dizzily, choking on acrid scent. Eternal life scarred, deep and dark, a deliberate, decisive rent. Fall into the furnace, a continual drop, towards welcome warmth, held in an unwelcome, cold, rooted pot. A final festering fall to fiery floor, tears tempestuous sea of penance call, voices unable to take any more. Fields of aged bones, flayed skins, sunken skulls, sorrowful souls, shrouded in sins. Dark and red shimmer, but as light it glows, a danger warning, screams, slanderous slares, under the shadow of fear and foreboding. Hot water words pour judgmental scorn, an unexpected descent, the undeserved fall, from body, spirit is torn. Alone in regret, forever forlorn. Second poem is a work in progress one. Wrote it quite a while ago and just trying to get it up to speed as my others, I suppose. Smouldering. There was glimmering hope, I saw shining light. I grasped, like moth to a flame, dangerous, hot and bright. I couldn't stake my claim, a dancing light is lit. I was burnt, I was bit. An eternal fire ignited with love to last, fueled with desire upon passion's pyre. Flames continually stoked until cold interruption, an unexpected smothering, the warmth is choked. Stuck in an unclear haze, confused thoughts back and forth within the smoke from the uncontrollable blaze. Foremost questions of self, where did it darken, why now? Was I the titan felt? Why is forever set no more? A future scattered in tears. Shorn words start to choke, chattering of realisation, highlighting the worst of fears. Venomous hate and anger, a heart vainly suppresses, harbouring an emotional hold, confusion a catalyst of second guesses. Has it left? Has it gone? Has it broke? The embers fade away, leaving ashen shadow of hope. And the third and final poem is one I found that I wrote 20 years ago. First one I ever got published, so I thought I'd give it a read. A fiery soul of a hellish embodiment, the epitome of darkness, evil and shallow. Given freedom from human imprisonment, the soul is bright and animated, yet hollow. Harvested from the land of living, a performance within the gaze of the devil's eye. From a bad crop, dark shadow shimmering, a soul's dark and light, complementary of Satan's fiery sty. Dancing around the charred bones of its bodily tomb, an unearthly shadowy dance performed by the soul. The soul mirrors hell's flickering flames as it moves, silhouetted shadow upon the cavernous rock of wall. The muscular solidity of a body discarded, reds, oranges and golds, a fountain of fire. Erratic movement as the soul darkly parties, a molten gymnast upon an ashen pyre. A technicolor gymnast upon a skeletal mat, an apparition like a jar containing an angry wasp. No soft break of fall, no conscious heart, an end to life, yet soul, life that will never stop. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy our liver poets tonight. Thank you.
Brilliant, this is A Way with Words, and next we're going over to Halifax to hear from David Cook.
The first poem I'm doing this evening is called Billy Butterworth. His name was Billy Butterworth, a tattooed lump of lad. He spent all days down the gym, pumping iron was his fad. His muscles inflated and ready to pop, his girlfriend deflated and gave him the chop. But bothered or no, he knew he could pull, living for him was never dull. He lived life in the fast lane, invincibility his only domain. Nothing could ever touch him, ego bright but a little dim. His mother, she tried to warn her lad, stay at home, this virus is pretty bad. Come on mum, nothing will touch me, I'm fit as a fiddle as you can see. Besides it only affects old fogies like you, put the kettle on, let's have a brew. Night after night he partied with mates, went out with some lasses on plenty of dates. He ignored his mum, he didn't believe her, until that fateful day he developed a fever. Look here son, what have you done? Pleaded his mum as she dialed 111. Billy struggled to catch his breath, thought he was bloody close to death. They put him on a ventilator, his mum a distant spectator. Days passed increasingly pessimistic until the call to say he was now a COVID-19 statistic. Okay, the next one, I don't know about you guys out there, but we've been doing loads of FaceTime or Zoom meetings with our mates, and it's been pretty good. So anyway, I've created this a bit of a tongue-in-cheek poem called FaceTime. iPad ready, sat on sofa in living room, debating whether we're using FaceTime or Zoom. Our tablets balanced on table precariously. Are you happy with that angle? Seriously? It takes a time to make the connection. Wife wipes down the device for fear of infection. After a while they come into view. I think they've already had a few. They mutter something like, can you hear me? Then do a bottoms up and high five virtually. We sit together like on Mr. and Mrs. It's not long before the men are off for their pisses. Wine bottle well hidden, not in view. It'll be harder to tell that we've had a few too. Spielberg will have a duck fit when we slip out of frame. Happens loads when there's a hint of a game. We sweat a lot at the thought of a pub quiz spot, but cheat on our phones just out of shot. Women whinge at the blokey buddy banter, complain that in lockdown her man doesn't understand her. The girls witter as the blokes look bored. When talking about football, the lads get ignored. The call degenerates as we get more pissed, start recalling best films like The Exorcist. Try to remember the great box set that she thought was great, but he didn't get. We laugh at jokes that in the morning won't be funny and boast about how we're saving so much money. Remember laughing at old comics like Tony Slattery, but the night ends abruptly when we run out of battery. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks all. Bye now.
Please welcome your next performer, the wonderful Alice Godber.
Hi, my name's Alice Godber, and I'm going to be reading 2 short poems that I wrote recently. This first piece is called Escape This Year, and I wrote it about issues I'm facing with my current art project. I want to escape this year. I'm struggling. Motivation. My project, my art. It's my process. It helps me grieve. But for now, put on hold. Unattainable. Perhaps. I want to escape this year. It was helping me. The thought I cannot finish. Have I let you down? So much time. I will find a way. But for now, I will wait and imagine of escaping from this year. This next piece that I'd like to read is called Does the House Remember Us? On nights when my mind is racing, I close my eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine I'm back at home. My old home. Our old house. On nights when my mind is racing, I pretend you're asleep in the next room. I find that thought so comforting. The thought of you there. We're safe. We are together. On nights when my mind is racing, I can't stop wondering. Who now sleeps in your bed? Who lives in that house we once called home? Are they happy? On nights when my mind is racing, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. Is it full of life? Does the house remember us? Thank you for listening.
You're watching Away with Words, and next we have the marvellous Pete Jordan.
Hello again, the second virtual Away with Words. First one I'm going to read this time is called Compassion. One voice calling, all the voices, calling one word, compassion. Compassion for each other and for ourselves, as we misname striving for love and light for each other as failure, which it is not, however halting or hurting it be. We keep turning round that gyre, reaching out from pain and passion, from frustration and fear, growing, healing, learning, loving, for as long as we are in this world. Second one is called Geometries. Even as my body stumbles, wavers uncertain, waves as I walk, familiar unbalance, unfelt, spreading into weakness, falling. Still, even so, here I am, knowing where and how, perception, position, poise, as I totter, drop, from one leg to another, catching descent. Deeper sense remains rooted in my core as I dance in a frame all my own and flying, interleaved, intertwined, falling upward, inward, skyward, heartward, like pouring boiling water from arm stretch high into a pot, into leaves, not spilling or splashing a drop. My inside Steadicam, holding local geometries, folding social geometries, even as my world tilts and slides. I touch my ear, unseen. Number 3 is called safety. Safety is a fragile thing, temporary at best, momentary and nothing to trust or rely, in a balance shifting from unsafety over a teetering moment to unsecurity. Between the sliding past, the edges we live upon, and stagnation, and death in life, perhaps an answer to that, ever mutating, intersecting, array of questions for every answer. Perhaps to at least some time, for a little while, broaden and make a little less slippy that path, constructed from loose gravel, unbridged voids, illusions of safety as we tread along our precipitous paths. Feeling, fitting, dreams within dreams, searching for a talisman, a token to hold, an icon that means gifts, grants, that chimera for but an instant of safe. My last today is called Tale. Torn, excised and lost, missing a missing limb, balanced dynamic flying, tripod rooted to core. Once, in another life, I reached around up, your spine to stroke, caress, love, to hold. Tail, rich, prehensile. Once I had a tail. Once my gripping hand, now absent, now gone. And so am I for this month. I imagine next month will be virtual as well, but we'll see what happens in the meantime. Bye.
This is A Way with Words, and next we have a genuine Hull legend. Writer, poet, historian. Please enjoy the marvellous Ron Fairfax.
Well, this verse is really to coincide with VE Day, which I think is next Friday. I've entitled it Unconditional Surrender. Unconditional surrender. From west to east, artillery rumbles. Großdeutschland's Nazi frontier crumbles. The Third Reich shrinks to 1938 as United Nations armies liberate. Generals and field marshals peace terms tender. The only terms acceptable, unconditional surrender. Reichsmarschals, Reichsführers, Reichs this, Reichs that's, vacate the sinking ship, Reichsrats. Down in his bunker, Hitler's incandescent, vowing vengeance, hysterical, spumescent. Goering, furious deputy, his man of the hour, escapes to parley peace with General Eisenhower. Bormann, faithful comrade, orders prosecution. SS, arrest the traitor, then summary execution. That other faithful comrade, SS Heinrich Himmler, contacts Montgomery to organise something similar. Ramshackle supermen begin to fall apart. The Soviet Untermensch are tearing at their heart. Berlin, Reich City for 1,000 years, the architectural fantasy of fawning Albert Speers. Now blasted, bullet-holed, bombed into smoking rubble, exploded to thin air, the Nazi Third Reich bubble. Adolf, in love, reads and leads Eva Braun to the altar. Her wedding gift, a 9mm Walther. Not marriage couch, not nuptials bed, a cyanide pill and a bullet in the head. For Schnickelgruber, fiery grave, incinerated, who would the world enslave?
This is A Way with Words. Please keep sharing the link and spreading the word, and enjoy your next performer, the wonderful Vim Lark.
Hiya, this is Vim. I'm going to do 3 pieces of whatever they're called, and the first one is called Three Houses, open brackets, Pompeii, close brackets, and it's dedicated to Pete Jordan. Do not die. Okay? Good. Pete's a phone in this. And I researched this, so it's a fucking proper poem. Okay. The day after tomorrow, when we leave, pay our dues and go through the door, look down the overgrown streets, we will see all that is left is concrete. The shadows of what once was, burnt in, moving around walls of a martyr, waiting for those who will one day visit again. Sun up, sun down, the images, the butcher and the baker, images of the rich and the poor, indelibly inked into the walls and the floors. In the house Julia Felix lived in, you could look out from the portico. The garden is overgrown as Julia is gone. The decorations of the wall are now falling down. In the house of the tragic poet, the library speaks of good taste, walls covered in aesthetics. As you move to the living room, cats just come in. In the house of the faun, the dancing statue grasps for the stars. The furnace blackened by memories of warming the nymphs back from the woods. All we can know for certainty is this: the earth will return to the earth, dust will cloud our eyes, and we will wear ashes wrapped in sackcloth, in certainty that the trees will hang with low fruit once more, and we will eat again. Thank you. Hang on, I'm just going to shut the door. Yeah, it's just Frida, she's come in. She's come for a bit to eat. I'm in the dining room, you see. Anyway, this next one's called Malcolm and His Dead Wife, and I wrote it at breakfast when I was on a national to Folkestone in February, which is a long time ago now, it seems. It's called Malcolm and His Dead Wife. Did you hear Malcolm's wife died? 3 heads shut up from their breakfast, snapping the air in anticipation of the next sentence. They have the look of husband hoovers, white hair, permed by Debbie. At her today. Yeah, down the road. Eyebrows wrangled by that nice Anita. Done at the brow bar in town. They can sniff out a widower. They hunt the private pensions, the cats and the caravans by the sea. Their sorrow for Malcolm's wife, replaced by the predatory instincts. They wear Jimmy's, Doug's and Rodney's ring too. They are magpies. Malcolm has just moved from the avenue to the cottage with the vegetable garden. On a good bus route, he is nearer to his God, and the race to deliver ham on the brawn and a nice hot pot in Pyrex has begun. Perhaps a summer wedding. Well, leave it until the winter that bites him with their indifference. There is snow on the roof, there is fire in the hearth, and there are rings on their fingers, and there are raids in their ears. Just as the old stag goes to die, The young bucks will stand ready. Walking sticks, pacemakers set. The rope is on, and they flirt like fuck with Malcolm. I can only admire their lifeblood that courses through their fed arteries. The loneliness of age is the ache that will kill all our bones. It withers our flesh. And Malcolm is their ambrosia in a rice pudding world. Sorry, that was disturbed by Frida, my cat, or one of my cats anyway. This last one is, well, you won't watch the outtakes, so you won't know I've changed this one. I've sent that to Harry Hill. This one's called Dysmorphia, and it's probably something I'm feeling and probably some other people might be feeling about this current position. Dysmorphia. Where once was constant tingling, is just now creeping numbness, as we no longer count our breaths, or hours, or days, or numbers. The air is stale with a lack of movement, and the hands that once knew worth have become purposeless. They become amorphous. They're punching the walls to regain the feeling, and the arms that gave comfort are mechanisms for diagnosis and disposal. They are stopping us. They are holding us apart. The minds that set us free are imprisoning us with relentless information. Our thoughts and prayers have been rendered to mulch. We are paralysed by the air we breathe. As sleep becomes our path between now and then. And above us the sky is clear. Around us the plants and the animals thrive. Today we have the chance to be reborn. But what of those tomorrows? When the tingling returns, when dysmorphia ends, will we remember yesterday? Thanks. I'm sponsored by Vic Sinex. Night.
You're watching Away with Words. Please keep enjoying. Thanks for watching. We've still got some great performers to come on. And next up, it's the marvellous Sue Island.
Hi everybody. Right, my first poem is one about cats. Well, one particular cat who we call Cleopatra, but of course she was always called Cleo. I've lived with cats for most of my life and loved them wherever we've been. Each one was different, each one individual, but Cleo, she was a queen. She quietly moved in as a kitten, a bit antisocial she'd seem, fairy and fluffy, permanently huffy. Cleo, she was a queen. She was always self-contained. She walked alone, it seemed. Tail held high, emerald eyes. Cleo, she was a queen. When she wanted attention, she'd tell you, with a flash of those eyes so green, a velvet paw, an unsheathed claw. Cleo, she was a queen. Our home was empty when she had gone, an old lady of 17, left with serenity, elegant dignity. Cleo was always a queen. Thank you. This next one is the latest one I've written. It's called The Perfect Couple, and it's about a Howard and Hilda type, always dressed alike. They were madly in love right from the start, always together, rarely apart, couldn't get enough, lived in each other's pockets, wore the same Levi pants, the same denim jackets. They wore their hair long with highlighted streaks, ensured that they bleached it every 2 weeks. They were alike as two veritable peas in a pod, members of their own private little squad. They were madly in love and lived their lives in haste, 'cause an hour without each other was an hour gone to waste. Other people didn't matter to this loving pair, and if friends snidely sniggered, they just didn't care. She was estranged from her family. She had left in a huff when her father said, "That boy doesn't earn enough." She had no one in the world except for her lover, but it didn't really matter. They were meant for each other. But then one day when they met for a drink, our lad said something that made her stop and think. She was bored of being blonde and forever wearing denim. She said she'd go brunette and start wearing gingham. He really didn't like it. He went quiet and surly, finished his drink, said they should leave early. She looked at him closely. He seemed pompous and rude, and she shook her head impatiently. Maybe it was her mood. But like Adam and Eve over there in the Bible, if a snake invades Eden, then you are liable to face disastrous changes in your ideal partnership when a little bit of doubt enters the relationship. Some people stay the same and some people grow and some people change more than you know. That irritating niggle came back again and again. They had come to the end, that much was plain. So when your girl takes the things you like and tells you where you can fling 'em, you might just as well give up with a smile and let her wear ribbons and gingham. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we're still here at Away with Words Towers. We're still going strong. We've seen some fantastic stuff. We've still got loads of great stuff to come. And next, you have got the marvellous, the wonderful Norm Redmond.
Hello everyone. I've got a couple of points for you today. The first one's our fishing heritage. It's called Dad's Home. Is he here yet, Mum? I asked, for a 10th and final time. Not long was her reply, clipping pegs to the washing line. The winds blew around our yard at this early time of day, but the excitement that we had stopped us bothering to play. The house was spick and span. Breakfast was on the range. I could see Mum's anticipation from sadness she'd exchanged. Looking out of our front window, all I could see was little feet, hopscotch and skipping, being played there in the street. Turning to Mum, I tried to speak. She raised her hand and said, "No more. Your father will be home soon. He'll walk right through that door." Just then I heard a shout. Through the window I looked outside. Children were running past, stopping games where they would hide. Out of our front door I ran. Looking left, what could I see? Father and his trawler crew, getting ever closer to me. As he walked down our street, with his kit bag on his back, looking for all the world to me like a hero in western paperback. Running fast as my legs could carry, nearly tripping onto the floor. He wrapped his arms around me, outside the front door at 44. I could smell the sea, the fish and salt, deep within his clothes. That memory is always with me. It's there in my every pore. Each second and every minute, I could not let him go. 3 days at home to me now was not enough time anymore. Mum met him at our front door. Her arms were open wide. She held on to him tight. Relief and love he couldn't hide. My dad was home from the sea. The wind, the waves, the rain. Those memories feel like yesterday, but all my life they have remained. Those times are often told in words and lines of song. To us kids, our dads at home was where they should always belong. Some days I can hear father's laughter and hear my dad's last cry in my young boys' voices as they look to sea and up to sky. There may be some noise in the background. People are doing the tea and not really bothered what I'm doing. This next one is sort of a look back in when I was young, in the 60s and the 70s. There was some happy stuff, but unfortunately also there was quite a lot of sadness, and this is tinged with a lot of that. It's called My One True Friend. Back there in the 60s, for us everything was new. I had a one true friend, did not celebrate 32. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. We ran, we jumped from bridge, lamppost and tree. In those days back then, we were wild and bloody free. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. I remember the first time we both lit up a fag, coughing for almost a week, sounded much like your old dad. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. We would wander everywhere, on terrace, street and docks, be out the door at first light, take no notice of ticking clocks. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. We dated twin sisters, those courting days had come. They giggled when we kissed them, their hearts had to be won. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. When you got sick, the coughing wouldn't stop. Still you gave that bright smile that no one else could ever top. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. Though you didn't get to see her, your daughter will break hearts. A smile that lights up a room, in a crowd she'll stand apart. Aye lad, I'll hold your hand until the light fades, not leave you alone in this last hour of days. No more words from you now, brother of my first moving sand. Our past is all I can hear, letting go of my friend's hand. Aye lad, I'm still here, I will visit every day, tell you how my life unfolds, remembering those times when we would play. Thank you very much, hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, thanks very much. This is a Word with Words, spoken word open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. Next we've got our second special guest of the evening. He's a good mate of mine. I know all his secrets, which is why I can keep on getting him performing for us. But it's a joy to see him. So please, let's go over to his garden and welcome J.B. Barrington.
I'm doing a couple of poems for Jim Higo's A Way with Words. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, Jim Higo. No, not Hugo. No, Jim Higo. Jim, the little fella from Hull. You know him, poet guy. Yeah, him. He's asked me to do it. He's got to. Oh, just hang on. All right, just do a few. How's it going, Jim? Thanks for asking me to do. You didn't ask me, did you? You told me to do some poems again for you on A Way with Words live stream. Hull. It's a pleasure. I'll do a couple of poems for you for free. Not getting anything for it. A couple of poems. I'm a bit busy as well, actually, Jim, to be honest with you. I can fit this in, obviously, because we're friends. A couple of poems. I love you. This is for you, Jim. I love you like a fly loves a freshly laid shit, like a sick note loves the ill and unfit, like a quick fit loves a snap-on toolkit. I love you. Like an undertaker loves the dead, like Dignitas loves a deathbed, like North Korea loves a nuclear warhead. I love you. Like a cat loves to bury its turds, like a drunk loves to slur its words, like ornithologists love their birds, I love you. Like smack loves a toothless smile, like a tuber germalised loves a pile, like a Tory loves a tag's exile, I love you. Like the arms trade loves illegal wars, like atheists love dinosaurs, like an agoraphobic loves the indoors, I love you. Quite fitting that at the moment, isn't it? Like the human bowel loves regularity, like the rich love the poor, giving more to charity. Like a traffic warden loves unpopularity. I love you. Got a quick one for you. My wife's turned vegetarian. She's all McCartney meat free. No more candlelit dinners for two, McDonald's or KFC. My wife's turned vegetarian, the fridge is full of tofu. No fairground burgers, no frankfurters or boiled ham to dive into. My wife's turned vegetarian, it appears there's no reprieves and no gravy boat to keep afloat, a meat pie less plate of peas. My wife's turned vegetarian, there's an aftertaste of smugness across the tea table because I'm unable to discuss types of couscous. Turns out she's turned pescatarian, eats fish but still meat free. So we're on a winner for a candlelit dinner with a Friday chippy tea. But alas, she won't go near the pork. It makes her feel quite sick. I've had some vertebrae removed so I can suck on my own. My wife's turned vegetarian. Stay safe. Have a good evening. Cheers.
This is A Way with Words. And your next performer is the excellent Clint Wasling.
Hi, for A Way with Words, I'm going to read a poem from my poetry collection, Layers. This one is called Bricklayer. English, header, stretcher, Flemish bond. He taught me the basic stack before a brew, a builder's tea and a fag break drew all to the porter cabin. If he could lay 500 bricks, he'd get a full day's pay. Through all but the worst of weather, he'd work long hours, fingers taped, chamois gloves kept out the lime, bed of mortar, brick, tap, level. He could halve a brick with one rap of the trowel. Before he died, Dad listed houses, bungalows, schools, a Cold War bunker. But his first he spoke of fondly, flats on Bricknell Avenue whilst apprenticed to Earl Jack Mather. Perhaps he thought we'd photograph them all, make the mortar, mix sand and lime 3 to 1, blend in the water. I see him now, his thin frame, a shock of auburn hair, and fingers which built brick on brick to house his every dream.
Okay, this is Way with Words. We've still got quite a few wonderful, wonderful performances to go. And your next one is Richard Silver.
I'm Richard Silver, and I like to do clever things with words. This is A Way with Words, a live virtual experience. We're going to start with one that I've done many times before, and it goes something like this. I know a place where we can stay, where there ain't no money and the work won't pay. Obsequious they stand and stare at a rich man's wealth all laid out bare. Grimland is where we are, disintegration around you. Grimland is what we are, witness, wasters surround you. Grimland is where we are, disintegration around you. Grimland is what we are, witness, wasters surround you. I know a place where we can go, where nothing is real and it's all for sure. Will is low, all hope is lost, just manage decline at whatever cost. Grimland is where we are, disintegration around you. Grimland is what we are, witness, wasters surround you. Grimland is where we are, disintegration around you. Grimland is what we are, witness, wasters surround you. Cocksucker motherfucker licks for the hypocrite, ignorant, self-centered, societal masochist. Cocksucker motherfucker licks for the hypocrite, ignorant, self-centered, societal masochist. Thank you. This next one, I was getting a bit lazy, a bit rushed for time. Jim had his deadline, which I missed, so I asked to extend it to Monday night. So I thought I'll do one of my favourites. It's by one of my favourite poets. He's called John Cooper Clarke, and this one's called Twat. Like a nightclub in the morning, you're the bitter end. Like a recently disinfected shithouse, you're clean round the bend. You gave me the horrors, too good to be true. All of my tomorrows are lousy 'cause of you. You put the shat in shatter, put the pain in Spain. Your germs are splattered about, your face is just a stain. You're certainly no raver, commonly known as a drag. Do us all a favour, here, wear this polythene bag. You're like a dose of scabies, I've got you under my skin. You make life a fairy tale, grim. People mention murder the moment you arrive. I'd consider killing you if I thought you were alive. You've got this slippery quality, it makes me think of phlegm. And the dual personality, I hate both of them. Your bad breath, vamps disease, destruction and decay. Please, 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 please take yourself away. Like a death. I nearly fucked up there. Like a death at a birthday party, you ruin all the fun. Like a sucked and spat out smarty, you're no use to anyone. Like the shadow of the guillotine on a dead consumptive's face. Speaking as an outsider, what do you think of the human race? You went to a progressive psychiatrist. He recommended suicide before scratching your bad name off his list and pointing the way outside. You hear laughter breaking through, it makes you want to fart. You're heading for a breakdown, pull yourself apart. Your dirty name gets passed about when something goes amiss. Your attitudes are platitudes, just make me want to piss. What kind of creature bore you? Was it some kind of bat? They can't find a good word for you, but I can. Twat! Right, this one's new. I wrote it half an hour ago, so do bear with me. I'll find it in the notes. Four pages. I'm getting on. Right, this one's called 100 Days of Isolation. Day 1. Come on, they said, this will be easy. Just like their young days listening to Morrissey. They did not go outside for a month or more. Interaction to them, well, that was a chore. Day 8, then they started to get somewhat bored. Forced to occupy time of their own accord. No one to speak to, they started to get low. Found an old cotton sock, his name was Geraldo. Day 12, and things started to play with their head. They swore Geraldo had eaten their bread. They threw the little bastard out of the door, forced to find more friends in their underpant drawer. Day 26, things started to go bizarre. Found a face in the door, his name Balthazar. Confided in him about the stress and the strain. Without all their friends, they were going insane. Day 42, what else was there left to do? A boredom so sour, they're going cuckoo. They're craving the touch of the opposite sex. Making way through another pack of Kleenex. Day 64, and we've been here all before. Just craving the pub more and more, more and more. Just how many shows can we watch on Netflix? They're all ready for bed by 5:45. Day 88, well, they're starting to hate. Now their testicles they are willing to grace. The laughter and love they're beginning to miss. Surely the virus can be better than this. Day 100. When will there ever be joy? All work and no play makes rich a dull boy. All work and no play makes rich a dull boy. All work and no play makes rich a dull boy.
Okay, it's still Away with Words. We're still going strong. It's a great night. Please keep watching. Please keep spreading the word. And welcome your next performer, Mr. Neil Catherine.
So, starting off, this is a poem that I wrote in South Korea back when this virus just started there, and it seems something worth documenting. But now it turns out everyone knows what the start of the outbreak looks like, but fuck it, I wrote a poem anyway, so you're gonna hear it. It's in the air. It's on every empty street, every noisy corner that rings silent on repeat, vibrating suspicion, disconnected, on every phantom cluttered pavement, every shopper, couple, parent, red-faced reveller, arm in arm, singing someplace else. It's on all the too wide roads packed tight with speeding cars that you cross strolling on red. It's on every face, each white cotton snout, in the furtive glance of your fellow lone wanderer, as if you could catch it by sight. It's how they creep closer. 59 in Daegu this weekend, 1 in Gumi, 1 around the corner from where you work. Have you heard? They say they don't know how it started, just where. Broken leg pirouettes in fish market air, transmitted through cables, satellite screens, translated to primal, to others to clean. In the coffee shop, she's glad to see you. She didn't think anyone would be in today. Behind the mask she's not wearing, a smile. Okay, so that was that. I'll end on a slightly happier note. Helps with the happier notes. With a poem I wrote years back. I saw you briefly. You were on the platform, I was on the train, and you had a look on your face. A look that made you look truly stupid. I scanned my fellow passengers' faces. They look intelligent, though one of them looks pretentious. I look outside again and you are gone. I wonder briefly if the face comparisons are microcosmic of the us versus them nature of society, and decide that I'm overthinking. You just had a stupid face. Maybe you're really smart. Maybe your face normally looks really smart. But it didn't just now. Over the course of your life, you will be many things to many people. A lover, a friend, a rival, an annoyance, a confidant, family. Your relationships will mutate, grow and change, and will mutate, grow and change you with them. But to me, you will be forever crystallized, perfect in your moment of perfect facial stupidity. Goodbye, stupid face.
This is A Way with Words. We've still got a couple of performers to go, and your next performer is the marvellous Robin Walsh.
Good evening. Right, my name's Robin. I'm going to rush into these because I don't have much time. I'm going to get 3 poems out, hopefully. This first one's called Wee Glitter. Hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry, young lady. Your future has gone. Capitalism has caused irreversible wrong. But not in my name. I shout from the rooftop. As I've been fighting the same fight, hoping one day it'll stop. They've poisoned our water, our food, our air. Capitalism's the cause of despair. As it's profit before health, that's the capitalist way. As death creates wealth with urban decay, our planet is dying, it's on its knees. Our air is polluted, bringing more disease. But not in my name. I shout from the rooftop. As I've been fighting the same fight, hoping one day it'll stop. Our oceans are filthy, our rivers unclean, trees disappearing, decimation of green, palm oil, soya, cattle and gas, deforestation now en masse. Our ice caps are melting, permafrost thawing, sea levels rising, species declining, weather's changing for the worse, getting hotter, colder, unpredictable, more diverse. This is the planet that's been left to you, all for the profits of that 1% few. So I'm sorry, young lady, your future has gone. It's capitalism that's caused irreversible wrong, and not in my name. I shout from the rooftop, as I've been fighting the same fight, hoping one day it'll stop. Thank you. Right, I'm going to rush into another one. Satire. Hope you enjoy it. It's called F for Farage. That's NF, by the way. NF. Nigel a farcical fascist frackwit, not fond of foreigners. He feeds on the food of fear. A friend and favourite are the fickle flag fetish fractard, a feckless fool's figurehead. He forms a facade, a fraudulent franchise to fuck and fiddle the fiscal fractures of our fragile fortunes. The funny four-maker fringed flamboyant florin freak with his fossilised feral frog-featured face, and the fracker's only 55. His fat, faggy folly fingers flick a floppy, flaccid feeble fob, while fronting his falsified financial files. His flippant funded, fluffy ferret fame, forcing a fresh fairy fodder fallacy. A festival, a festering fish fluid, a foul, flatulent fantasy. With free feces, fanatically fortified, fat, funky farmyard fragrance. A frosty fountain, a fallopian fromage, fusty fungus, factory falsehoods and fornicating, ferocious fibs. With flimsy, foggy focus filter. They flange a futile fairground fiasco, a fallacious fandango. A flagship and flares, a foxy feudal fracas, fuel a fair thought fight fail, which frustrates. He fabricates a fatal faithful for faith, feathering factitious fiends, flinging few feasible facts, and frazzle a frenzied fable. Fate, our final funfair funeral. F for farage. Fake, fracking, fury. Thank you. Thank you. Right, time's running out. I'm going to move on quickly. This last one I wrote recently, so I'm going to have to read it. Bear with me. Hope you enjoy. Don't take it too seriously. Bit of satire like the last one. It's called Apathy and Leggy. It's all too little too late. Toilet rolls and pasta. Dried rice and sanitizer, it's all too little, too late. Like rats on a sinking ship, scurrying selfishly looking, programmed to search for a way out. Abandon the dry to drown instead, chickens alive without a head, panic and fear, fear and dread. It's all too little, too late. Instead of anarchy, you chose apathy. I'm all right, Jack, in a careless society. Greed and ignorance control all reason in an aimless goal of self-preservation. It's all too little, too late. Stupidity manifests in ugly ways, irrational behaviour of the masses. Apathy and leggy birth the end of days. Eugenic agenda to kick all asses. Hysteria to make you panic buy. Food banks now laid bare. People will suffer. People will die. Don't you pretend to care. It's all too little, too late. It's all too little, too late. A sheep, a herd mentality. You had a chance to change humanity. Care for the many and not just the few. United together we'd smash the flu. You reject the left for the rule of the right. That was the day you lost our fight. Now we're left to face our fate. A Tory agenda based on hate. A message from your PM. Expect to lose some loved ones. Some will die before their time. This is what you voted for. A fascist social cleansing. A modern Nazi crime. 500 million to balance with nature. That's what the elitists say. A virus, a plague is needed for capitalism to have its way. They must start the cull, kill off the weak. It's time to depopulate. So for all of us now, it's all too little, too late. Right, that's it. I think 6 minutes odd. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all again soon.
This is A Way with Words. Your next performer is someone new to us all. Please give it up for Graham Rhodes.
Before we start, I'd like to assure you every poem has been hand washed and sanitised. There you go. This is angst. I'm getting fucked off by being pissed around by bureaucrats, clerks and uniformed clowns, by people with badges and people in suits, security guards with big shiny boots. Give them a hat, a security pass, they turn into a twat and a pain in the ass. Inspectors of tax, inspectors of VAT, inspecting this and inspecting that. Faceless officials, officialdom's face, collecting my details on their database. They've got all our names in alphabet files, they know all our secrets, they know all our wiles. They know what we want, they know what we do, they're waiting out there for me and for you. Identity cards, electronic tags, Big Brother state is driving me mad. Authorities turning our freedom to farce. If they want any more, they can all kiss my arse. Thank you. This is called Zoltar. You probably don't know Zoltar. Well, you might know Zoltar. If you've been to Scarborough and you walk along Foreshore Road, where the amusement arcades are, Zoltar is the man that sits outside the amusement arcades and offers to tell your future in a very strange mechanical voice. And when you're drunk or stoned and you walk past him in the night, he scares you. This is Zoltar. Zoltar tells the future. He lives inside a box. You only see him from waist up, that's why he wears no socks. Zoltar tells the future for only 50p. But can you trust a forecast from someone with no knees? Zoltar tells your future, whether good or whether bad. His wooden voice intones your fate, that's why you look so sad. Zoltar tells your future, and Zoltar never smiles. He sits outside inside his box, that's why he suffers piles. Zoltar's eyes are mechanical. Zoltar knows your fate. Zoltar knows if you've got time, but he knows that it's too late. Zoltar knows your future from deep inside his box, and all the time he's planning on how to steal your socks. And sometime in the night time, when the amusement's all closed down, Zoltar puts his legs back on and stalks around the town. So beware the darkened alleys, beware deserted docks, in case Zoltar tries to grab you, knock you down and steal your socks. Thank you. This is depression. We all suffer it. Like a barbecue in the pouring rain, you've got to keep that flame alive. Like a leaf caught in a howling gale, you're forced to duck and dive. Just keep the home fire burning from deep inside your gut. Never let the light go out or get stuck inside a rut. Never let that flying shit collide with your personal fan. There's enough of it going around to drown your fellow man. Never let that dog run free, don't let it bring you down. Don't let its snapping jaws catch you, keep both feet on the ground. Life is for the living, there isn't any sequel. 'Cause when it comes right down to it, all men are cremated equal. Thank you.
That's it. That's it. This has been A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to everybody who's performed, to all of the local poets, to the brilliant McAteer, to the always brilliant JB Barrington. I've been Jim Higo. A Way with Words. We might do this again, possibly in 3 weeks' time. We'll wait and see, and hopefully at some stage in the future we'll be back to our usual third Thursday in every month Off the Road Live Lounge. But in the meantime, this has been A Way with Words. You've been watching some brilliant poets. I've been Jim Higo. See you soon. Good night.